Good afternoon and welcome to the week ahead by Ukraine Insights. My name is Adam Sibera and I will walk you through everything you need to watch over the next 7 days. President Volodymyr Zelensky may travel to the United States next week to meet with Donald Trump to finalize a Ukraine US security agreement. The Ukrainian side says the document is ready and is awaiting approval from Trump. Zelensky is also seeking feedback following this week's talks between Russian and US delegations in an effort to gauge Moscow's position on a potential peace deal. Plenary sessions of the Ukrainian parliament are scheduled for next week. The most likely decision is a partial reshuffle in the cabinet of ministers. Most notably, the appointment of Mikhailo Fedorov, currently First Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine and Minister of Digital Transformation, as Minister of Defense. His predecessor, Denis Shmihal, is set to assume the post of First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy. In addition, Parliament is expected to approve the dismissal of Vasyl Malyuk, the head of the Security Service of Ukraine. Rumors are also swirling about additional appointments that remain uncertain. In particular, there is talk of a possible return to government by former Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, who is set to remain informally within the president's inner circle. The post of Minister of Justice has been left vacant following the dismissal of Herman Halushchenko amid a corruption scandal. The most widely discussed candidate for the job is Denis Maslov, a lawmaker from the Sluha Narodu party. Learn more about the rationale and potential consequences of President Zelensky's latest personal decisions in the upcoming weekly report by KI Insights. The Verkhovna Rada is also expected to consider draft number 14025, which proposes amendments to the tax code aimed at introducing the international automatic exchange of information on income earned through digital platforms. It's going to be in its first reading. This high profile bill would pave the way for taxation of digital platform based commerce and serves as an important benchmark under the IMF staff level agreement signed late last year. Also in the agenda is draft law number 14030 on the fundamental principles of state supervision. This will be in second reading, which forms part of Ukraine's commitments under the EU's Ukraine Facility financing program. The presumptive nominee, Minister of Defense, Mikhailo Fedorov, is set to present a technology transformation plan for the ministry on January 12th. According to President Zelensky, the initiative aims to introduce innovations drawn from the successful experience of the Ministry of Digital Transformation to help offset the Russian army's numerical advantage. Ukraine is bracing for deterioration in its energy situation amid freezing temperatures and intensified Russian strikes. In recent days, attacks on energy infrastructure have triggered blackouts in the Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk regions, with other parts of the country also facing mounting strain. The government has recommended a shift to remote schooling and work as heavy snowfall further complicates conditions nationwide. The National Bank of Ukraine is set to release its direct investment data for the third quarter of 2025 on January 15. This will be followed on January 16 by the publication of the Business Outlook Survey for the fourth quarter of 2025. A potential U.S. intervention in Iran amid ongoing protests could have ripple effects on the Russia Ukraine war. Donald Trump has signaled a willingness to back the protesters and intervene over reported killings, a scenario that appears more plausible in light of the U.S. campaign in Venezuela. Iran remains one of Russia's key strategic partners, supplying Shahid drones used against Ukraine. As uncertainty over supplies from Iran and Venezuela grows, and attacks on Russian oil tankers persist, global oil prices continue to climb. We take a deep dive into the fallout from the United States' actions in Venezuela and what they could mean for Ukraine and Russia in the latest episode of the Ukraine Insights podcast. Next week, several Ukrainian public figures and MPs will mark their birthdays, beginning on January 11th, when Nina Yuzhanina of European Solidarity turned 61, alongside Serhiy Larin of the opposition platform For Life, who turned 64, and Ihor Hus of Batkivshina, who marks his 44th birthday. On January 14th, Anna Skorokhod, an independent MP, will celebrate her 36th, and on January 16, Semen Krimonos, the head of NABU, will turn 43, while on January 17, Serhiy Kuzminik of the Sluha Narodu party will mark his 43rd birthday. And now here are the events and historical milestones. Starting January 15, The 2026 edition of the online event Bridge to the Emirates, a Ukrainian global online expo, where Ukrainian companies join at this national exhibition showcasing products, technologies, and services for the UAE market as part of the Month of Ukraine in the United Arab Emirates. And further ahead, on January 22nd, a KI Insights online monthly briefing examining the strains on Ukraine's mobilization system, leadership changes in the security sector, and what mobilization can realistically deliver in 2026 will take place. On February 17th through to February 19th in Orlando, USA, the NAHB International Builders Show starts, one of the world's largest residential construction exhibitions, bringing together global manufacturers, developers, suppliers, and innovators to showcase solutions, build partnerships, and expand international market opportunities. And further down the line, and starting February 19th in Kyiv, the Kyiv International Cyber Resilience Forum 2026 begins. Technology and Cybersecurity Forum for Ukraine and the Central and Eastern European regions focus on strengthening cyber resilience and digital security. This podcast is a shortened version of the KI Insights public newsletter, The Week Ahead. Subscribe to start your week with an agenda of Ukraine related events delivered directly to your inbox every week via the link in the description. Links to all our stories and events are in the description below, as well as a link to sign up to our longer newsletter edition. Have a nice week, and thank you to listening to The Week Ahead by Ukraine Insights. To be notified of future episodes, please consider subscribing to the podcast. For more analysis, insights, and research, please check our accounts on X, Bluesky, and LinkedIn in the podcast description below. And to subscribe to our analytical products, please visit our websites insights.kyiv.independent.com.